Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from Argentina, Spanish language English subs, released in the year 2022, directed by Fabian Ford, and this film is called Legions. So Legions is about a witch doctor. In his youth, he did an exorcism in the remote jungle lands that didn't go as well as he planned. So since then, no one believed that this person was possessed, and they also believed that he was crazy, so he has been taken to a mental institution. So present day is an elderly gentleman. We realise that he has a daughter, an adult daughter that he hasn't spoken to in a long time because the daughter believes that he's crazy, and so this is something that really tears him apart, but he's trying his best to get better and basically recover enough to really salvage what he used to have in his life. But then things get complicated when he realises that the ancient evil that he fought in the past has actually presented itself once again, and not only has it presented itself, but it's targeting the adult daughter of the main character. So not only is he going to have to try and escape this psychiatric unit, he's going to have to try and convince his adult daughter, who she believes is crazy, that this this demon exists, and they're going to have to band together in order to try and repel it. So whether or not they can is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Legions. Fabian Ford is a very interesting director. He's a director that doesn't really have a lot of credit. There's not a massive following for this guy. This is a guy that not only is a director in Argentine horror, but he's also around in the circuits as far as producer, as far as having technical sort of assistance to other directors out there. And so it's definitely a name that I've known for a very long time. And the first movie I saw of Fabian Ford's was when I was actually living in Argentina. It was a movie called The Dead Man Tells His Tale. I saw that in the cinemas and I actually really liked it. It was a movie that had its issues, but I wasn't striving out to be an Oscar-worthy film. It was striving to be a very entertaining movie, a movie that you could just not take seriously and have a little bit of fun with. And I definitely feel as though it ticked all the right boxes as far as what it wanted to achieve. And so it's a film that doesn't have a lot of recognition once again, and so that was a great shame, because I definitely feel as though this director has talent to actually warrant more people viewing his films. And so coming into Legions, I was really happy that this is another Fabian Ford horror film directed by him, and I was hoping that it would take me down memory lane when I first went to see his first film in that cinema. And after watching Legions, I will say that's exactly what's happened. This is a film that reminded me of his first movie because it does have the same trademark style, and that trademark style has a lot of quirkiness to it, and that quirkiness is something that you don't see every day. A lot of these movie directors are afraid to have their own style, and so they're regurgitating things that you've seen time and time again, and so it becomes very, very generic, and it just molds in to just one big shadow instead of actually making little shadows of their own. And so Fabian Ford is definitely a director who is striving to actually make a style for himself, and this style is inspired by early Peter Jackson. You have Evil Dead as well. I thought there's a lot of elements to this film that reminded me of Evil Dead, with especially the possessed sort of demons. I thought as though it had that same fun nature that the Evil Dead had. And so if you're an Evil Dead fan, chances are you might get something out of Legions. And so I really like the old witch doctor, the main character. I like the fact that he was taken to a mental institution. I thought some of the people inside this mental institution were actually quite funny. So there are characters that really alleviate all of the disturbing qualities that this movie has going for it, and that's where it becomes a dark comedy, that you're laughing at things that you really shouldn't. And I definitely feel as though the larger-than-life caricature sort of characters really help achieve that sense that you're in a really caricature and a really fun world. I thought the fun world building was there, and it was something that, as I said, is very reminiscent of the trademark style of Fabian Ford. So the script I thought was fairly decent. I thought there were some fairly memorable moments as far as demonic possession is concerned. It's a film that doesn't really make a shadow of its own as far as this story is concerned. The way the story is told I thought was actually quite predictable, but pushing that aside, it was a fairly fun experience for what it was. So if I have issues with this movie, I will say that it is a PG sort of 13, and so it doesn't quite break the barriers as far as provoking an audience. It doesn't really have the excessive gore, and that's something that the movie really needed, because it does play it safe as far as not offending anyone, and so it is trying to strive out to appeal to the masses instead of genuine horror fans. I thought if it had the hardcore qualities of Evil Dead, it could have actually made a shadow of its own, and because of that, if you pass up the opportunity to see this movie, you're really not missing too much if you've seen films like The Evil Dead. This is a film that is really, really well made. The The cinematography is excellent. The effects were fantastic, but it just doesn't have that memorable gore. It doesn't have that memorable kill. It doesn't have the memorable offensive qualities that The Evil Dead had and early Peter Jackson films had. So it does play it safe within the confines of PG-13. Therefore, it just doesn't is unable to really stretch its wings and fly out. It threatens to, but I always felt as though the chains of restraint were there to really hold the film back from being what it could have. And so that was the issue I had with The Dead Man Tells His Tale. That was a movie that I remember being a lot of fun, but I just felt as though this is a film and a filmmaker that's a little bit afraid to actually be offensive and provocative, and I definitely feel as though that's what he needs in his repertoire, because if he can actually do that, his style will really come through a lot more, and he'll probably get a lot more recognition. And so this film doesn't stand out of the shadow of all the other movies out there because of the fact that it is restrained. It's a very quirky film, and I will say that the director has his own style, but he's afraid to have that real gut punch to really set himself apart from the others. And so overall for Legions, it's definitely a serviceable film. There's a lot worse out there, but I just feel as though it didn't have the confidence to really break out and shine through. So overall I'm going to give this film 3 stars. Still go out there and see it. I had a lot of fun. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Next, thank you for watching movies, and I'll see you later.